at a corner, J.C. Horn, and he broke his foot. Now, nobody knows if he's going to play this year. They just gave up a 6th-round pick to get Stephon Gilmore. Now, Gilmore's out of shape, not in game shape, not ready to play. He'll be ready to play November. It's very interesting, though. It's a bad year in the upcoming draft for corners. There's one great one, Derek Stingley for LSU. He just broke his foot, and his tape's not been good this year. He was better last year. So it's not a good year for corners. That's an area of need. So now they drafted J.C. Horn. They have Stephon Gilmore. They have C.J. Henderson. This defense is now elite. You could argue they could get a defensive tackle next year for more depth, but they don't need any help. The Carolina Panthers have a championship defense. And what they're telling you by doing this, they think they can win now. And they think Gilmore late in the year can match up if they have to face the Buccaneers and all those receivers. Carolina is telling you this rebuild is going faster than they think. They have just finished their defense. Next year, they're going to go get an interior offensive lineman. It's a great year for guards and centers in the draft. They could go in free agency. This is interesting. So just look at what they're doing. They're giving up good draft picks to get corners. They think that's the missing piece. Sam Darnold's working. They can score enough. And they probably played the Cowboys and said, we're not good enough at corner. We're just not good enough at that position because they're really good in the front seven. So that's interesting stuff. Weather's changing. Stay comfortable no matter what. With Tommy John underwear, 16 million pairs sold, 20% off. Go to TommyJohn.com/herd. Joy with the news.
No.
Turn on the news.
This is the Herd Line News, sponsored by Mercedes-Benz. The best or nothing.
It's just make a bunch of mistakes. I will say this, though. I know y'all want to run Matt Nagy out of town. Do you want Justin Fields to have a new coach, a new coordinator, and a new playbook next year? Don't go to Twitter, which isn't real life to begin with, and crush them when they have bad series. This is the reality. This is going to be a really turbulent flight. We're talking winter, and you're landing in O'Hare, and there's a storm coming in. It's going to be really turbulent. So understand that. Understand that you want Matt Nagy fired, the worst thing you can give a young quarterback. In year 2, new playbook, new coach, new this, new that. All these guys that are succeeding, Kyler Murray, Josh Allen, who was terrible his first year. Look at all the quarterbacks. Lamar Jackson, what have they had? No chaos. Firing a coach is chaos. And none of these young guys, in my opinion, can overcome it unless you're Andrew Luck, and it forced him out of the game. All right. A Herd brought to you by Jersey Mike Subs. Be a sub above. Listen, this is where you go in America for breaking news. It's almost as if news waits for our show to start, and then they just give it to us. Joel Klatt, we have a massive, massive college football weekend, and let's give some love to the hardy folk in the Big Ten because Penn State and Iowa, I've watched them both play, are both. This is the first Iowa team?
No, I'm sorry. You're not allowed to compliment Iowa, ever, actually. So
this is a real team.
I'm sorry?
They're a real football team.
Not the fake ID of college football?
They still carry it on them to clubs.
No, that's not true.
They're 20, like my daughter, they're 21 and they've got the real one too.
I love what Iowa is doing and I love what Penn State is doing. And this conference, by the way, and it's not even just the conference because it's really just Iowa from the Western Division.
Yeah.
The East, though, the East has basically 4 top 10 teams at this point. They've got Ohio State, who still you can be considered in that realm. They've got Penn State, Michigan, and Michigan State now, who's been playing terrific football. So that side of the division is incredible. And by the way, if you're a Buckeye fan, how do you overcome an early loss out of conference? With all of these teams that you could beat and then get yourself right back into playoff position.
Now, I'm not a member of the American media. I am closer to the mafia than the media. Let's be honest about
Interesting.
that. I'm not.
By the way, you know who didn't have a lot of structure early in his NFL career, but seems to be succeeding just fine?
Who?
Baker Mayfield. Just overcame everything you were talking about. These guys, they need structure. They don't need coaching changes.
Really?
This guy had coaching changes, and he succeeded. And he went to a putrid organization that had no success, and now he's clearly doing well. Just wanted to throw that in there, but please continue.
Okay, so let me say this. And this is a great game. Iowa Penn State's a great game. I went to dinner with a buddy last night whose son, every year, his dad will take him to a college football game every year in the country. He lives in L.A.
That's awesome.
And he chose this one. And his dad... And his dad said, you know how hard it is to get to Iowa?
It's true.
Can't you pick like Columbus? But my point is, with James Franklin, now I'm not going to start something here. And I don't like when the media does this. But with my labyrinth of amazing sourcing, I'm going to throw this out there.
Let's hear it.
This is very important for Penn State because if James Franklin's going to continue to be the number one target for USC, and I believe it is,
Okay.
he can't lay an egg in these games. I'm just saying this.
So what's a Penn State
Penn State
fan
staff
supposed to root for?
Penn State staff is focused. I am calling for an upset. Penn State going into Iowa and winning.
Well, listen, I won't be surprised if either of these teams win. Both are riding long winning streaks dating back to last season. In fact, Penn State's last loss was to this Iowa team a year ago before Sean Clifford started playing better and not turned the football over. Both teams have found the efficiency on the offensive side in order to allow their defenses to shine. So you've got the second best scoring defense in the country in Iowa, the third best scoring defense in Penn State, and they do it very different ways. And I love kind of the juxtaposition between the two because Penn State's winning on defense with athleticism, multiple looks, confusion. They've got guys in the back end that I just love. Joey Porter Jr. at corner, I really like him. Jaquan Brisker, their safety, excellent player, long, athletic. They blitz a lot of guys, give a lot of looks, and then Iowa just sits there in the same defense, like lurking in the corn, and the exact same defense almost every single snap, and they act like a boa constrictor. They just kind of suffocate you. They're like, fine, yeah, that was nice, good 4-yard gain. Okay, now you got 4 yards. Okay, now you got a first down, and then all of a sudden you look up and you're like, wait, we just threw another interception because it was a tip pass, and all the eyes are in the backfield. I can't wait for this game, and it's the biggest game in a great environment since the mid-'80s.
Oh, Kinnick Stadium's great.
It's amazing.
Amazing. The Children's Hospital.
Yes.
It is weird. Did I ever tell you my story? I don't want to waste your time, America, but I'm fairly fascinating. So the point is I was driving in a bus.
I was going to say, does it involve you with a famous person at dinner? Because that's basically every story you tell.
So I was in a bus in Iowa.
Okay.
I was at the other place. I think they went broke. And I was in a bus. I was on a show called Sports Nation. And I was on a bus with the crew. And we drove through Iowa. We stayed the night there.
Okay.
They have a great pizza place that had aviation theme. It was anyway. And we drove through, and Iowa had the most amazing sunset I'd ever seen. There's no mountains out there to block it. And I literally sat there, and I was sitting there with the crew, and I was like, oh, I get it. I get Iowa. Like this in the summer, those long summers, it was stunning. And I'm going to tell you something. We always talk about great American venues. There may not be a better, and I'm dead serious on this. Kinnick Stadium is about, listen, I've had my issues with Iowa. That is going to be on television. That is going to be it's going to be an unbelievable environment.
By the way, the sun will go down because it's actually
in the day.
Folks, I know Gus and I are always at noon Eastern. This game's actually at 4 Eastern. So we will see the sunset during the game. It'll end at night. Like this is kind of, and I totally agree with you. This stadium, there are a few venues in college football that are romantic. This is one of them.
Absolutely.
Obviously, the Rose Bowl is what it is, in particular for that game. But this is one of those venues, and this modern tradition with the Children's Hospital.
Yeah.
It's going to be an amazing environment. I can't wait for it, and it should be a great game.
Okay, let's segue to a couple things here. First of all, Ed O, great guy, great recruiter, great story. Basically, Ole Miss didn't work. Take out Joe Burrow, not really working. I got nothing against him. He's a nice man. He's a great recruiter.
Yeah.
I've always thought he's a core